It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the movies of April 16th, 1993. 5 movies to look at today, so let's go ahead and jump on into it. We'll start off with the first movie that we have here, and that is Wesley Snipes in the action thriller Boiling Point. I guess this is Wesley Snipes after he found success with The Last Boy Scout and more recently Passenger 57, where he became the next big action hero. But just like every other action hero, they pick some really bad scripts, and this is a really bad script for a really bad movie. This is not a very good movie. This is a pretty lackluster film that's pretty much everything you expect it to be. It's basically Wesley Snipes getting revenge on somebody and doing whatever it takes to make sure they're dead and don't get any justice. Like they're just like he's a treasury agent and he's out for revenge. And I mean, honestly, you've seen this type of movie before, done over and over again. Even if it was a predictable movie, it still has to be at least somewhat enjoyable. I mean, some of the best cop action movies ever made are basically retreads of other movies. I mean, but there's just nothing in this movie that's exciting whatsoever. I mean, Wesley Snipes himself in this, I think he's just trying too hard to try to make this memorable and to try to have these lines that make him stand out as the thing that everyone quotes all the time. I mean, at least with Passenger 57, the whole thing with Always Been on Black did work to that movie's favor. But here, his big thing that he quotes in this is, "What I'm done with is that he's eating dinner with another cop played by the principal from Back to the Future, and he says that he tells Wesley Snipes' character to do the job by the book, and then Wesley Snipes' character goes, "When I'm done with this motherfucker, I'm gonna put him in a box by the book." And it's just like that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It really does not, and it's just not a very good movie. It's a very boring film with some great talent overall. Dennis Hopper, Lolita Davidovich, Viggo Mortensen, Dan Hedaya. Just a good cast overall, but not good material to give to them. It's a movie that is instantly forgettable. It's a movie that's just kind of there. You watch it once, and there's just nothing out there. It's like vapor. Just you watch it, and you move on with your life. It's just like it doesn't leave any lasting impact with anybody, and it's just not a very good movie. It's not a very good film. It's one of Wesley Snipes' worst movies that he made at this time when he was still doing these movies for theaters. Not counting the direct-to-video stuff, because most of that's pretty bad too. But yeah, Boiling Point, just not a very good movie. So anyway, on to the next movie, and that is Benny and June with Johnny Depp and Mary Stuart Masterson. From the director of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, Jeremiah Chechik. This also stars Aidan Quinn, a young Julianne Moore, and a young Oliver Platt. And you basically have two very eccentric individuals. I think both of them are supposed to be schizophrenic, and they end up meeting and getting together pretty much. It's a different kind of romantic comedy that you would expect, and surprisingly, it's actually kind of enjoyable. I was not expecting this to be as good because I've heard some mixed things about it. Some people really like it. Some people like that it's different. Other people thought it got kind of annoying real quick. But I don't know. I thought it did a pretty good job. I like seeing Johnny Depp do something kind of outside of his normal shtick because he's doing a lot of physical comedy bits in this movie, basically basing it off of people like Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin, Harold Lloyd doing it in this movie. And also this movie was notable for making the song I Would Walk 500 Miles by the Proclaimers to be a big hit, which was a big hit that year. And it's not a bad movie, honestly. It's a movie that actually is kind of enjoyable just because of the chemistry by Depp and Masterson, and the fact that it is such a weird tone for a comedy like this to have these two very different people with these mental issues and the way they work off each other. And it's a very nicely done film. It's a nicely done film, has a lot of good moments, some pretty good funny moments overall. I really enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised by it. I think if you go into this with the right mindset, you can definitely enjoy it as well. If you want to see Johnny Depp do something a little bit out of his normal stick, definitely give Benny and June a shot. I really found myself really enjoying it. So anyway, that's Benny and June. Let's go ahead and move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Candid Films, once again, with No Place to Hide. I mean, it's Candid Films. Did you really expect them to do something that wasn't something like this? It's got some decent talent to it. Chris Christopherson, Drew Barrymore, Martin Landau, O.J. Simpson, Kane Hodder from Friday the 13th. But I mean, come on, man. Like, it's pretty much what you expect from candid films: a lackluster diet version of something that's already popular beforehand, and it just really wasn't. It just really, it's a mess of a film. It's a movie that a lot of the people involved in this regret making. Christopherson regretted it. Landau, uh, Drew Barrymore, judging by, I mean, O.J. Simpson probably found something for it, but it's just a movie that's been done over and over, and really, this movie could have been played as the movie of the week on ABC, CBS, or NBC, or even Fox, and it would have made more sense there. This did not need to be on a big screen. This was not a movie that needed to be on a big screen, and you can pretty much tell why, because it's not very good. It's not that interesting. It's not that exciting. It's very lackluster. It's very over the top. It's not good on any level. It's a horrible movie. It's a horrible, horrible film on so many levels. So that's No Place to Hide. Now let's move on to the next movie, and that is Wide Sargasso Sea. So if you don't know what this movie is, this is an adaptation of the novel the same name by John Reese, which is basically following the account of the West Indian Creole heiress hero called Antoinette Causeway, played by Karina Lombard, who marries the Englishman Mr. Rochester, played by Nathaniel Parker. This is taken from Jane Eyre and becomes his Mad Woman in the Attic, featured in the novel Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. And I'm reading it off of here, but unlike the other movies, this is one I've actually seen before, and I've seen it one time playing late at night on Cinemax when I was like 14 years old. I was wondering, I was flipping channels, and then I see this movie, and I'm just like, what is this movie? I've never even heard of it, but I will say this though: it is a very erotic movie. It's a movie that's well worthy of the NC-17 rating. And the NC-17 rating back then was not seen with a whole lot of praise. It was usually meant for more adult movies, but a lot of studios backed off because they didn't know how to market a movie like this to people. Of course, Henry and June was one of the first examples to do that, but this is probably one of the better ones because I really found myself enjoying this movie just for the acting alone. Karina Lombard, Nathaniel Parker, they're working off each other very well. It's got a great cast that includes Rachel Ward, Michael York, a young Naomi Watts is in this. And it's directed by John Dugan, who we've already talked about one of his other movies, Flirting, which came out the year before, year or two ago. And but this is one I have seen, and like I said, it's a pretty solid movie. It's a movie that I think does a pretty good job of adapting this book to the big screen. Since I've actually read little bits of the book afterward, after I saw the film, and it's actually kind of a good movie. I watched it again recently, and it does still hold up. It's not just a movie that's an exploitive movie for sex and all that. It's actually telling a deep story, a well done story overall, with these erotic elements to it. And the sex doesn't really stand out more than the actual story. The actual story is more interesting than the sex that's going on screen. And it's a very good movie. It's a solidly made film. I'd say definitely give it a shot if you want to see a very underrated film. White Sargasso Sea definitely is that. So that's White Sargasso Sea. Let's go ahead and move on to the last movie, and that is the story of Kwai Ju. So Gong Li plays the title character of Kwai Ju, who lives in a rural area of China. And when her husband is kicked in the groin by the village head, Kwai Ju, despite her pregnancy, just travels to a nearby town and later a big city to deal with its bureaucrats and find justice. This is directed by Zhang Yimou, and we've talked about some of his early works before with Raise the Red Lantern and Judo. And of course, he later on would later go on to direct films such as Hero and House of Flying Dragons and Curse of the Golden Flower. And that's pretty much all I know about this movie overall. Except the fact that Gong Li is in there. We talked about some of her movies before when we talked about the other movies that this director has done. I haven't seen this movie, can't really comment on it, but again, it looks like it could be a pretty decent movie overall. It's just something that's never been on my radar to check out, but maybe one day I'll definitely check it out. So, Other than that, that's pretty much all I got to say about this one, the story of Kaiju. So on that note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we'll look at the 4 new movies, including Who's the Man, starring Dr. Dre and Ed Lover, the host of Yo MTV Raps. We also have Indian Summer, The Dark Half, and also Map of the Human Heart. So 4 movies to look at next time around, and we'll do that on the next episode. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time, and until then, as always, take care.